One of the biggest natural disasters in Brazil, the floods in Rio Grande do Sul, has attracted the attention not only of people in the country, but all over the world. In this sense, countless questions arise about what could have worsened this situation, and many of them focus on some key structures in the state, such as the Moles de Barra. But after all, did this century-old structure affect the flooding in the region? This is Construction Time. I'm Luciano Guimarães, and in this video you'll understand whether this structure was what caused the flooding in Rio Grande do Sul. Also known as the Moles de Barra do Rio Grande, the Moles de Barra are located in Rio Grande, a city on the southern coast of the state of Rio Grande do Sul. With an average altitude of just 5 meters, they have a subtropical climate. In terms of precipitation, this means that rainfall is more evenly distributed throughout the year, with only slight seasonal variations. This is a region that stands out in southern Rio Grande do Sul, not only because it is a remarkable tourist spot, visited by thousands of tourists every year. Rio Grande also plays an essential role in the maritime passage between Patos Lagoon and the Atlantic Ocean, and the structures that make this passage possible are the Moles de Barra. This structure is built with 2 stone walls that extend parallel to each other in Patos Lagoon, the largest lagoon in South America. Built between 1911 and 1919, the moles are structures of impressive dimensions. While the West Mole, located at Casino Beach, is 2.2 kilometers long, the East Mole in São José do Norte is 4 kilometers long. This last measurement, by the way, is equivalent to almost 34 soccer fields, with the maximum standard FIFA size. Despite their significant size and their undeniable importance for maritime transport in Rio Grande do Sul, it has been suggested that these Moles de Barra have impacted the flooding level in the region. But is that really true? However, before we understand more about what happened, it's important to know the historical context of this incredible 20th century project, the city. To understand why the Barra breakwaters were built, we need to go back to the 18th century. At that time, the lands of Rio Grande do Sul and Pelotas were considered an important link between the colony of Sacramento and Rio de Janeiro. However, navigation in the region was extremely complicated due to a series of factors, such as shifting sandbanks, strong currents, and winds. The result of this was very limited visibility for sailors along the coast. Amidst all this, countless shipwrecks occurred in the region. During the 19th century, numerous studies and attempts were made to improve navigation safety at the Barra, and as early as 1865, Dom Pedro II recognized the need for the construction of the breakwaters. But it was only at the beginning of the 20th century that the works actually began. Between 1911 and 1919, under the presidency of Rodrigues Alves and Afonso Pena, the breakwaters were finally built. Rocks weighing up to 10 tons, transported by a specially built railway, were used in the project. In fact, about 4,000 workers worked on the construction, which was essential to stabilize the channel bar and protect it from waves and silting, thus ensuring safe navigation. Besides fulfilling this need, it's worth highlighting something. Interestingly, the structure stood for more than 7 decades without the need for repairs. In 1995, a project valued at $140 million reinforced the structure of the East Breakwater, which had significantly weakened since the 1980s. More than 500,000 tons of stone were used in the construction. As we all know, the tragedy that occurred in Rio Grande do Sul raised a series of questions for the entire Brazilian population. From broader questions to the more specific and technical ones, including how some construction projects may have influenced the floods, such as the power plants on the Rio das Antas, which was discussed in a video here on the channel. But after all, did the moles de Barra have an impact on the flooding level in the region? Or did they actually prevent an even bigger catastrophe? The answer to the first question is yes. However, it's important to note they aren't solely responsible for this situation. The moles help hold back the waters of Patos Lagoon by mechanically narrowing the outflow. More than that, the sandbanks near the construction end up playing a fundamental role in closing off the outlet. It's no coincidence. On May 16th, Lagoa dos Patos reached a level of 2.8 meters, no less than 1.5 meters above the flood mark. In this scenario, the water doesn't follow, let's say, the natural flow out to the sea, but instead goes the opposite way, invading the floodplain. And not only that, this damming also impacts the tide levels nearby, contributing to some of the flooding in the central regions of Rio Grande do Sul, as we've seen over the past few days. It's important to point out that the state's topography has a peculiarity that favors this scenario. In general terms, Rio Grande do Sul has 4 morphological units. 2 of them, located in the north and south of the state, have higher altitudes compared to the central region, which is situated in a depression near the coastal plain area. Because of the force of gravity, the flow of water in the rivers, located at the highest points of the state, in this case, the northern and southern Rio Grande plateaus, descends to the lower regions. To illustrate this, just think of water flowing through a funnel from the top to the bottom. This confluence can be clearly seen in the Guaíba River, whose rising water level caused severe flooding in Porto Alegre and the surrounding areas. But of course, it's not just about the water. The issue of outflow from Lagoa dos Patos has also contributed to this catastrophic scenario. According to some of the country's main meteorological services, the variation of the winds and the change in the tide in Oceania impacted the flooding. Undeniably, climate factors intensified the impact of the catastrophe, not only in the Lagoa dos Patos region, but in practically the entire territory of Rio Grande do Sul. Between the end of April and the beginning of May 2024, Rio Grande do Sul was hit by an astonishingly high level of rainfall. According to data from the local government, between April 24 and May 4 alone, there were 420 millimeters of rainfall. To give you an idea, the expected rainfall for April was estimated at 180 millimeters, which means that in just 10 days, it rained the equivalent of more than 18 months. It's no wonder that in Porto Alegre, the flood level surpassed what happened in 1941, when over 22 days, the waters of the Guaíba River reached a level of almost 4.8 meters. On May 7, 2024, the level of the Guaíba surpassed that mark by 10%, reaching an impressive 5.28 meters. It's important to point out that the storms in Rio Grande do Sul are not a matter of chance. According to experts, a combination of phenomena is involved, and these phenomena have worsened the weather conditions in the region. The tragedy in the state is also linked to intense wind currents, a corridor of moisture coming from the Amazon that intensified the rain, and an atmospheric blocking pattern caused by heat waves. In total, no less than 452 out of 497 municipalities in Rio Grande do Sul were affected by the floods, which means almost 91% of the state's territory. There is no doubt about the importance of the Barra breakwaters. However, it is necessary for the authorities to take advantage of this situation to learn lessons that will help further improve the maintenance process of this structure, as well as the need for structures that help improve water outflow from Lagoa dos Patos in extreme cases, such as the current one. Thank you for watching this video until now. Did you know about the Barra jetties in Rio Grande do Sul? Did you know that they have contributed to flooding in Porto Alegre and the surrounding areas? Leave a comment below if this makes sense to you or not. I'll make sure to read all of them. I'll stop here for now. Take care and see you in the next video.